Let's begin by sitting back in our chair comfortably. And I hope that you're all feeling well and ready to move our joints and increase our flexibility. So I thought today we'd focus a little bit on core and our hip flexors. So everything works together, nothing is separate. So it's so important to have a good, strong body. Let's sit comfortably. Feel the connection of the ground to your feet. So feet should be nice and evenly balanced to the ground. And if your feet don't touch the floor, then maybe a thick book or a yoga block underneath your feet so that you're feeling that centeredness. And then bring the awareness to the sitting bones and sitting evenly on your chair so that those sitting bones are even. Last time we did a little bit of moving around to find that balance. So if you feel right now that maybe you're listing a little bit to one side, then kind of even up a little and so that you're evenly centered. Then bringing the awareness to the spine, let's feel a lengthening up all the way to the crown of the head. And the shoulders are back and down to open the chest. Chin tucked slightly in to lengthen the back of the neck. And then arms can be resting wherever they want to go, just comfortable, maybe hanging alongside you, maybe resting on top of the legs. And then closing the eyes for a few moments as we draw the awareness inward. Do a little body scan, maybe from the toes all the way up slowly, noticing where your body feels good, where it feels freedom, maybe some energy flowing. And if there are some areas that aren't so great this morning, then just noticing that without any judgment. Maybe by the end of class, it'll feel a little better. And then bringing the awareness to the abdomen, letting the abdomen completely relax. And as you've taken your next inhalation, let the abdomen expand with that air as it draws all the way up to the collarbones. And exhaling from the top down, abdomen gently contracts with the end of that exhalation. And then it's a passive filling up, inhaling, expanding. This is considered the three-part breath. We do this type of yogic breathing through the nostrils. So our nostrils do basically three things for the protection of our lungs. It warms the air for our lungs, it filters the air, and it humidifies the air. Just a few more rounds with this deep diaphragmatic breathing. After your next exhalation, resume your regular breathing. And then keeping the eyes closed if you'd like, begin to lower the chin down to the chest, tucking the chin gently down and under so that you can feel a nice stretch to the back of the neck. See if you, when you take in a nice deep inhalation, that the upper back expands a little bit, maybe giving a little more of a stretch to the neck. Letting the weight of the head lower the chin down and under just a little bit more. And then slowly begin to roll the right ear over towards the right shoulder. As it reaches that shoulder, gently press down on the other shoulder, feeling that gentle stretch to the side of the neck. We always want to make sure that we're being really careful with the neck. And then rolling the chin back down to the center of the chest. And then continue rolling left ear towards the left shoulder. And gently pressing down on the right shoulder, taking in a full deep breath there. And then continuing a few more times with a slow, smooth half circle. loosening up any tightness, any tension in the neck. Really listening to your neck. See if there's any areas there that are kind of sticking, maybe don't move so smoothly, and then move a little slower over that area. No forcing. There should be no pain at all ever with yoga. And that's one of the benefits of listening to the body, turning inward so that we can notice before going into any strain so that we can come out. And the next time that the chin rolls down to the center of the chest, then slowly lift the head back up. And then opening up the eyes. And begin to turn the head all the way to the right, looking over that right shoulder. Till you feel that gentle resistance. And then returning to center. And then to the other direction. Going just to your edge. Maybe one side is a little different than the other. And then one more time to each side, keeping the chin parallel to the ground. And then returning back to center. And then let's come forward into our chairs a little bit. And we'll loosen up the shoulders. Let's let the arms hang freely. And then we're going to just roll the shoulders a few times in each direction. So this is an exaggerated movement. You want to really move those shoulders. Next time the shoulders press down, then reverse direction. Make sure that the breathing is flowing. So we're not holding on to the breath at all. Next time that the shoulders are pressing down, then let's relax the arms. Notice the abdominal muscles. We're going to pull in the abdominal muscles to help support the core here. And so when our core is activated, that supports the low back. So we want to hold ourselves upright now using our core support. Let's bring the hands behind the back, and we're not going to interlace the fingers. We're just going to press the palms of the hands lightly to the back of the head. And using the head, neck, and torso as one unit, we're going to just twist over to one side. And so the elbows are wide open, coming back to center, and then to the other side. Coordinating the breath. As you inhale back to center, exhale to the other side. One more time to each side, keeping those elbows wide open. Try to keep the shoulders relaxed, even though the arms are open. And then next time that you come to center, then we're going to interlace the fingers behind the head. And then we're going to begin to let the chin tuck down. And the arms can act as gentle weights to the head so that we give the neck another good stretch here. Maybe you can let the elbows lower down towards the ground. So moving here just until you get a good stretch to the back of the neck. So we're kind of using traction here. So looking down and taking one full deep breath. And then with your next inhalation, coming back up. And then we're going to lower the arms down. Let's shake out the arms, give them a little rest. Let's move into cat-cow so we can wake up the spine and loosen it up. So for this, let's make sure that we're comfortable here. We have a nice solid base of support. So feet are firmly grounded, hands are on top of the legs. As you inhale, begin to hinge forward. The shoulder blades slide back towards each other, slightly looking up. Chest wide open. Exhaling, the hands will slide towards the knees. The back arches and rounds, chin tucked under. Make sure you have enough space behind you. And inhaling, we want to really open up that chest. And exhaling, rounding the spine. If your back is touching the back of the chair, then move forward a little bit so that you've got plenty of room. Coordinating the breath. I really like doing cat-cow because I feel like it does increase flexibility to the entire spine, from the neck all the way down to the lumbar spine. And then just 2 more times. Breathing deeply so that we're oxygenating the body. With your next inhalation coming forward, then we'll come back upright into a neutral position. Let's let our arms hang down alongside the body. And let's stretch out the right leg so the heel is on the ground, and then stretch out the left leg. I noticed that when I got this new chair that it kind of tilts upward. So I always have to adjust myself a little bit, and that might be the same with you. So always get yourself comfortable so that the edge of the chair isn't cutting into the backs of your legs. All right, so we have both legs out in front. Let's have the arms hanging freely. And we're gonna take a look down at our toes, and we're gonna splay the toes wide open. And then we're going to splay the fingers wide open and breathing. I find that sometimes when I splay the fingers and the toes, then they all move a little bit wider apart. They have a little bit more mobility. Now, let's clench the fist and curl the toes under. Take 1 full deep breath here, bringing in a lot of circulation to those little joints, and then let's release. And there's a flood of blood flow to all those little joints and all the tissue and around those little bones and joints. And then again, 1 more time. So we're going to curl the fists, curl the toes, 1 full deep breath, really clenching tightly here. And then let's release. Good. All right. Now, let's bring the feet in and slide back into the chair. We're just going to take a moment. Let's rest the hands up against the legs. So they're just resting on the legs. Notice if you can feel any difference in circulation in your toes and your fingers. Let's reach the arms out in front, interlace the fingers. We're going to stretch the palms forwards. The arms are straight out in front of us, and then we're going to just pulse. So if you want to just take a look, I think most of you kind of know what I mean, but we're pulsing forward at the base of the fingers. And again, that can bring in a lot of nice circulation into the fingers. All right, now let's reach the arms up overhead. The palms are facing up. If this is problematic on your shoulders, then just release the arms, and so the palms are facing each other. Otherwise, we're going to stretch and lift, reaching up. Inhale deeply as you lift up, and we'll exhale and lower the arms down. And we're going to do this in a fluid movement. So inhaling, arms out to the side, palms turn up, inhaling up. The arms are separated. Exhaling, we're going to lower the arms down. Palms turn down halfway, lowering down. And again, inhaling, arms out to the side, palms up, reach it. Maybe the palms can touch. And exhaling the arms down 1 more time, using the flow of your breath. Inhaling the arms up. Exhaling the arms down. Good. And let's release the arms. We're going to just let them rest for a moment. And we're going to come forward into our chairs about halfway. And we're going to do the same type of movement, but then coming into a spinal twist. So we're going to reach the arms out, inhaling the arms up, and exhaling to your right. So the arms are alongside the body. Inhaling the arms up, so it's a smooth, fluid movement. Exhaling the arms to the other side, looking over that shoulder. 2 more times. Inhaling up. Exhaling deeply. And 1 more time to the other side. Inhaling up and exhaling over. Good. And then inhaling up, and then we're going to release the arms down. We're going to stretch out the right leg for a forward fold. And as you inhale, lengthen up through the spine. As you exhale, begin to hinge forward with a flat back. Keeping that bent knee leg really sturdy. Having the toes splayed wide open. Coming forward with a flat back. Keep the back flat. Maybe you can slide the hands down somewhere on that leg. We want to move forward with our torso until you feel a stretch somewhere. For a lot of people, that will be in the lower back because you're tight in the low back. And a lot of us have tight leg muscles. So wherever you feel a good stretch, and then we're just going to hold that for a moment. Back is flat. With your next inhalation, come up with a flat back as you slide that leg in. Sliding the other leg forward. The heel is on the floor. The toes are spread open. Inhaling and lengthen. Exhale, a long hinge forward, lengthening through the spine. Back is flat. Coming forward till you feel your edge. So that's such an important subtlety. The more that we connect with our body and get in tune with our body, then we can feel that edge or that place of resistance very acutely. And that's where we don't want to move beyond until we let the body release into it. So we're not pushing, we're not forcing. And then one more deep inhalation and coming up with a flat back and sliding that leg in. All right, now sitting tall, abs are pulled in. We're going to lift the right leg up and we're going to just move it out to the side. So we're loosening up the hips a little bit, bringing it forward, lowering it down. See if you can have the arms just hanging freely along the side of the other leg. So we're using a little bit of ab work here, and we're using our hip flexors to lift that leg, open it to the side, slowly with control. The foot is flat, like it's on the floor. And then one more time to each side. See how wide you can open that leg. Lower down, opening, bringing to center, lowering. Now that right leg, we're going to pick it up. We're going to clasp the shin with our hands. And then, so our fingers are interlaced along that shin. We're going to inhale, lengthening up. Exhale, as you bring the forehead towards the knee, you're going to exhale. Elbows are moving forward, away from the body. Inhaling upright, and then one more time. Exhaling, forehead towards the knee. Inhaling upright. Good. And then let's keep the right hand on that leg, and we're going to just open one more time. Out to the side, come forward, and we'll release that leg. And now the left leg, we're going to lift that leg up, clasp the shin with the hands, fingers interlaced. Inhale and lengthen, and exhale, forehead towards the knee. The elbows widen and move away from the body. Inhaling upright, and one more time, exhaling, forehead to knee. Inhaling upright. Did I forget to open? I think I did. So let's open that leg out to the side and come back, and then we'll let that leg lower down. Now, let's lift. We're going to keep the knee bent with that right leg. We're going to lift it up, and then we're going to stretch it out so it's straight now. The ball of the foot is pressing forward. Toes are wide open. Abs are pulled in. You can clasp underneath the chair if you need to, or keep your arms kind of loose. Abs are pulled in, and then we're going to lift that leg up a tiny bit higher. And we're going to exhale, and we're going to slowly lower that leg down. The knee will bend, the foot will come down to the ground. Straighten out that left leg, toes are splayed. Keep the spine lengthened upward, abs pulled in. Lift that leg up just a little bit higher, and we're going to slowly, slowly, slowly lower that leg down. You might have felt that in the hip flexors. So we're going to loosen up those hip flexors now by coming forward a little bit more towards the edge of your chair. We're going to widen the legs wide apart. We're going to bring the hands to the insides of the legs, and we're going to push away one leg while the shoulder comes towards the other, and then coordinating the breath. So we're going to inhale up to center, exhale to the other side. So we're really pushing away that leg, and then continuing on. I really like this one because I can feel this stretch all alongside the lateral side of my torso and to the inner thigh. Make sure that you're breathing fully. Inhaling up, shoulder towards that knee. So really putting a lot of movement into this as much as feels good for you. And then coming upright. Good. So now we're going to keep our legs as they are. You can clasp underneath your chair for a little support here. We're going to roll up towards the balls of the feet so the heels are lifted, and then we're going to just rotate around a little bit. Just rolling around, loosening further up those hip flexors. Make sure you don't slide right off your chair because I know that there's a tendency to for the body to inch forward. So be careful here. Good. All right, let's walk our legs in towards each other for a little bit of ab work. I'm going to put my chair sideways to demonstrate. So we're going to first start by slanting or tilting our body so that our sitting bones are kind of towards the front of our chair, the front edge, and we're going to just lean back. So the shoulder blades are resting to the back. So pay attention here to that angle of your back. If this is really bothersome for you, then make it less of an angle. So you'd slide back a little bit. The chin is slightly tucked down. See if you can bring a tiny pelvic tilt here so that that tailbone is kind of curling under just a tiny bit to protect the low back. So let's clasp lightly onto the bottom of the chair. We're going to start tipping the toes, tip-tapping the toes. And working with the abdominals here. So abdominals are really pulled in. And Wayne and Terry, I can hear what you're saying, so be careful. Just kidding. I can see that you're unmuted, but that's okay because it's quiet over there. All right, so now we're going to keep going, but we're going to release one arm out in front and then the other arm. If you can. If it's too much, then just keep your arms alongside you, maybe clasping onto the chair. So we're going to keep going just for a little bit longer. You might feel this in the hip flexors, so it's really strengthening hip flexors and abs. Lower abs are pulled in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Let's sit back into our chair, and we're going to take a little forward fold. And this can be really nice on the abs and the low back, obviously. So let's have our legs a little bit wider than hip width, and we're going to do a supported forward fold. As you inhale, lengthen through the spine. As you exhale, come forward with a flat back. So coming forward until you feel that edge, and then breathing deeply. Maybe you can release a little bit more into this forward fold. So at this point, if you want to, you can let the torso kind of sink in between the legs. You can bring your hands down to the ground between the feet, if that's workable for you. You can let the head hang down. As you're relaxing into this forward fold, we can turn it into an inversion where the head is lower than the heart, if that is okay with you, if you don't have any of the precautions that would preclude you from having a lot of pressure to the head. Sometimes with cataracts or glaucoma or cardiac conditions, you don't want the head below the heart. So if that's the case, then maybe just halfway. Just a few more moments here, releasing any pressure in the low back, abdominals relax. And then preparing to come out. So either with a flat back, hands supporting you on the legs, abs pulled in, or you can roll the spine up. Just whichever way you do it, doing it very carefully. And then we're going to do a little bit more ab work. Whenever we're doing ab work, and if you have a low back condition that is bothering you, then always come out when you need to and maybe go into one of those forward folds if that feels like it's a good release. So let's continue on a little bit. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to assume that same position. So we have a tilt in the spine, leaning back to the chair. Our abs are pulled in, and we're going to lift both legs up off the ground, maybe clasping your chair. So we're lifting up and lowering down. If that doesn't work for you, maybe it's too much on the abs or the low back, then tiptoe, okay? So otherwise, if you're able to lift up the legs, see if you can kind of lift a little bit high so that we're working not only with the abs here, but those hip flexors. And then we're going to reach the arms forward, adding a little bit of a challenge here, and then up, and then out to the side, and then down. And all the while, we keep those legs moving, the abdominals are pulled in, arms reach forward and up, and we're breathing, chin tucked down, lowering arms, and then forward. Almost done here. Keep working. I felt this in my abs last class. And then one more time. Arms are reaching out and up. Make sure you're breathing. Exhaling the arms down. Woo! Let's let the legs relax. Let's sit back into our chair and take a moment. So I could feel that almost more in my hip flexors than in my abs. And we need both for a good, strong core. So let's take a moment and come into one more supported forward fold. Legs are a little bit wider than hip width. As you inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, hinging forward. Widen your legs as much as feels good for you. Maybe you need a little bit more room here. That's fine. Just coming halfway, so not a full deep forward fold. The wider that the legs are too, you might feel that release in the hip flexors. I hope that you were able to take a look at the article for the link that I had from the Washington Post about squats. If you didn't, take a look at that. Let's come up slowly with control. Good. We'll walk the legs in towards each other. Let's sit back on the chair for a moment, noticing the body. Notice where you're feeling the energy flowing. So when we come up to standing, we're not going to quite yet, but when we do, we'll be focusing on doing the chair pose, which is a form of a squat coming up. That'll continue to our core and the lower body. All right, so let's come forward into our chairs about middle of the chair or so. Take a look at your legs. We want our legs about hip width. Take a look at your ankles. See if they are aligned so they're underneath the knees. Knees are in line with the hips, hips in line with the shoulders. We have a nice tall posture here. Chin tucked slightly in. Let's bring the arms alongside the body. We're going to keep that right arm anchored down, maybe clasping onto your chair, and reach the left arm out to the side and up overhead for a side stretch. We're going to reach that arm up and over. We want to feel a real good stretch here from the top of the hip all the way up the side of that body. Now see if you can turn the head looking through that armpit and maybe even spin the chest open a little bit looking up and breathing. So we'll keep reaching, reaching, reaching. With your next inhalation, we'll reach that arm up and lower down, exhaling down. And then the right arm is going to reach, lifting, exhaling over. And as you're breathing here, we can refine this movement so that we're getting the maximum stretch here all along the side of the body. So this is a good one for toning and strengthening our core. And then see if you can maybe spin that chest open. So it's almost like the top of the chest is turning up to the ceiling. That arm reaching up overhead, breathing deeply, reaching, reaching, reaching. With your next inhale, that arm reaches up, and the exhale is going to just float it right on down. Good work, everyone. Let's do a little bit more. I always like to do every type of movement that we can do with the spine. So that was a lateral movement. We've done a forward fold. We've done a twist. And now let's do a backward bend. When we do our cat-cow, that's in essence a backward bend. We're going to bring now our arms up in cactus pose. And so for this backward bend, it's a really subtle backward bend. What we're doing here is we are pressing the chest forward and the shoulder blades are sliding in towards each other. The chin is slightly down. And we want to feel like we're pressing forward through that thoracic spine. Pressing, pressing, pressing. Breathing. And then coming upright. As you exhale, bring the arms in towards each other so the forearms touch. And inhaling again back to cactus arms and really opening up here. And we'll exhale and bring the forearms together. And then see if you can lift up the arms a little bit more as you inhale, widening. So the elbows are in line with the shoulders if possible. Taking your time with this. One more time, inhaling and really opening up here. And then we'll exhale and bring the forearms together. We'll lower the arms down. And for this next one, we'll take this a little bit further. So hopefully you have a good chair here where you can come forward towards the edge of the chair, take a hold of the back of your chair, so the side rungs or just the side, and then walking the feet in a little bit so that you have a good base of support as you press forward with the chest. So the chin will tuck down slightly and we're really opening up here. So experiment here, maybe the arms are up higher on the top, towards the top of the chair, or down lower, or in the middle. So there's those three different ways that you can try. If you're feeling unstable here, make sure that your feet are really grounded here to the earth. So you feel that nice, strong base of support. One more deep breath as we inhale. We're gonna really open up. Chest opens and we'll exhale and come upright to a neutral position. Abs are pulled in. Spine is lengthened upward. All right, let's prepare to come up to standing. And let me just demonstrate one thing for you real quick. So when we come up, and there's all sorts of different ways to come up, just make sure that it's not placing too much pressure on your knees. So some of us will need to come up using the chair for support. Others can maybe hands and hips or arms reaching out and up. But what I want to show you is when we come up into chair pose, we want to have the weight on our heels. Our hips are moving back. In whichever position our arm is in, that can just be up to you. But we don't want to be hinging forward because that's too much pressure in the low back. So there's a tilt, there's an angle to the spine. And we're really feeling this in the low body, and abs are pulled in. So let's prepare for that. A good way to prepare for that is to slide the feet slightly underneath the chair. If you know that this one is a challenge for you, try bringing one foot forward a few inches, your dominant side, and that can help you to come up. So let's prepare either using your arms for support on your chair. We're just going to come up a couple of inches. So let's come up just a few inches off the chair. See if you can tilt that spine so that you're not hinging down. You're not looking down. You're looking 4 or 5 feet forward and a soft gaze on the face. Shoulders are relaxed, abs are pulled in, and we're breathing. Good work, everyone. Let's slowly lower on down, very, very slowly. I just want to bring one point to mind here. When we're coming up, this one, if your quads don't have sufficient strength, it can be a strain on the knees, so be very careful. But one thing that I want to mention is that when you're coming up, try to have the legs so that they are parallel to each other instead of like turning outward, okay? Because that's going to bring some instability to the knees and a little pressure. So I did see that, and I want to bring your attention to that so that the feet are forward, knees are in line with the feet, okay? But not hanging over. We want those knees back. So let's try it again. We're gonna come up just a few inches again. So find your arm position, whatever that might be for you. Take a look first at your feet. Try to have the toes pointing forward. The knees are parallel to each other. And then begin to hinge forward, bringing that focus to your quadriceps. That's what is supporting us here. We have a tilt upward to the spine, strong abs. Good work, everyone. Strong abs. Make sure that those knees, you can take a look down, take a look at your knees, make sure that they are in line with each other, and breathing. See if you can lift up all 10 toes, and then placing them down, baby toe at it starts, and then the rest follow. Breathing. We're going to come all the way up this time. Really strong, strong legs. Woo! All right, good work, everyone. So that article in the Washington Post talked about doing squats. And think when you're doing these that you're using the strength of your quadriceps and your core. So let's do a little bit right now, just for fun. So let's stand. You can stand wherever you are. It doesn't matter. Have your legs hip width apart. Toes are pointing forward. So our legs and our feet are aligned. Let's bring our hands to our hips. And we're going to start to move the hips back. And we're going to just hold this for a moment. Check yourself that you're not hinging forward. That gives the body a little leverage there that takes the work out of our quadriceps. Now we're going to come up to standing. And we're going to go again, one more time. So coming back into this squat. The weight is back towards our heels. And we're breathing. We want to really bring that concentration to the quadriceps, the glutes, and the abs. Looking straight ahead, 4 or 5 feet. Inhaling, coming all the way up. And then one more time. So we want to make sure here that as we're coming into our squat, that the knees are not over the ankles. That there it's too much pressure on our knees. So if that is the case with you, then sending those hips back, breathing. And then we're going to come up all the way slowly. Those quadriceps and glutes are doing that work for us. Then we're going to lift one foot up so that the heel is lifted up, and then the other heel lifts up. So we're going to pedal the feet a little bit. So we're just pedaling the feet. So one heel lifts way up, and then the other heel lifts up. Bringing both feet down to the ground now. See if you can come up unsupported, lifting both heels up. The body is upright. We don't want to be pitching forward or back, and slowly lower back down. Okay, excellent work, everybody. Let's come to the side of our chair. Doesn't matter which side. For a little balancing and further work with our core. All right, so let's make sure that we are close enough to the chair that if we need to, we can place our hand on it easily. Let's assume our mountain pose. So our feet are about hip width apart. Take a look down at the toes and the insides of the feet. So toes are pointing straight ahead if possible. The insides of our feet are parallel to each other. And we're sensing that groundedness with our feet, that connection of our feet. And that's where a lot of times, as we start to get older, sometimes we lose that connection of the sensation of our feet to the earth. So here's where that attention to our feet really comes in handy with our balance. And strong legs. So our good foot dexterity, strong ankles and strong legs are going to help with maintaining and improving our balance. Let's place one hand lightly on top of the chair, and we're going to lift our heels up again like we did. when we're on supporting, we're gonna lift way up high, as high as you can, and still maintain good balance. See if maybe you can just place one finger on the chair. Maybe lift up for a second or so. And then hand back to the chair lightly, and then we're gonna slowly, slowly lower back down. And then we're going to come up again, and our heels are lifted. Keep the breath flowing. Sense if you have nice, strong ankles here, not collapsing out to the side or in. So nice, strong ankles. Maybe they don't have to be lifted quite so high. If the most important thing is to have them aligned well. All right, now, again, so we're gonna lift, maybe bring one finger, maybe you're able to keep the heels lifted without arms on the chair at all. So, and then we're gonna slowly bring your hand back to the chair as you lower back down. And then we're gonna bend at the knees a little bit. And then we're gonna come back up, slowly lifting. And then we're gonna slowly lower back down, hands or no hands. That's up to you. And then one more time. Holding for a few moments up at the top. Slowly with control, keep those ankles nice and strong. And then maybe dip a little bit. You can bend at the knees to release any pressure there. Now, let's place the hand back on the chair. And we're going to do one leg lifts. If you know that you're not ready for this yet, then just keep doing what you were doing, maybe both feet. So we're going to bring the weight towards a leg that is closest to your chair. And then we're going to lift the other leg up. So the foot is flat and maybe lift it up an inch or two off the ground. And now begin to lift up on the other leg so that heel lifts. If it's easier for you, you can bend at that knee of the foot that's up off the ground. So we're gonna keep lifting up, heel lifts up. So just one-legged here, lowering down. See if you can do the same thing. So as you're coming up, you're holding just for a moment and then lowering back down. Make sure that you keep your breath flowing. And if you're like me, you have a very lightweight chair, so it's not going to support much pressure. So just one more time on that leg. Good work, everyone. And lower back down. You might feel some wobbly here. That's fine. That's good because that's testing your balance. Now we're going to shift onto the other leg. Holding onto the chair lightly if you need to, and rolling up. So that other leg now is getting the work. Heel lifting, lowering down. And then continue a few more times. So you can probably tell at this point that this is really good strengthening for the leg. So it's not only the entire leg, but it's your toes, the arch of your foot, that instep, your ankles. Good work, everybody. One more time. As you come up, hold for a moment, maybe just a finger on that chair. Maybe you can lift up all the way off that chair with your hand and then slowly lower down, both feet on the ground. And we'll step the legs wide, and then we're just gonna roll around. All right. One more standing balance pose before we come back to seated. And I'd like to work with our tree pose because I really love tree pose, and I just think it's a beautiful way of balance, and I feel like I can connect with trees and nature. If I don't see it in front of me, then inside. So let's prepare for tree pose. In whichever side that you're on, I'd like to show you a different way to come into tree pose. So if you want to just take a look, that's probably the best way. Let me just demonstrate quickly for you before we all go into it. So we're going to use our chair for support here. And I know that some of you have been practicing tree pose, and you're welcome to go into your full expression of it. But otherwise, if you're not able to go into a full expression, then try this. So I'm just going to demonstrate here a way that we can all come into tree pose with that foot off the ground is to use your chair and then our shoulders and hips are squared forward and our hands come together. So try this if you've been working with chair pose and you find it a real challenge. Then coming into the tree pose with the chair so that the foot is placed to the inner calf. And it depends on your chair. I don't know how high or low your chair is, but that should be a good point for most people. And the only precaution here is that we don't want to have that foot to the inner ledge of that knee because it's too much pressure on the kneecap. So if you're able to do that and have your balance, and see if you can come into prayer position with the hands and close the eyes for a moment. And then opening the eyes, maybe reaching the arms up overhead. You can separate the arms. And then palms back and lowering down. Bringing that knee out in front and lowering back. So if you did that with a chair, switch sides so you can do it to the other side. It's a good way of practicing, I think. And so that we're able to really spend some time here balancing on one leg, and yet we're being able to put our bodies into that beautiful tree pose. So find your position, what works for you, and I won't lead you through this side. When you're ready, you can stand in mountain pose. Okay. All right, everybody. Let's prepare to come back to our chairs. We'll come down in chair pose again. So we're going to make sure that we are centered to our chair and our calves can feel the edge of the chair so we know it's right behind us. Take a look down at your feet, hip width apart, toes are pointing forward, arms either in on the hips, out in front, or down, so that you can use the chair for support if you need to. Start to come down slowly, slowly, slowly. We're going to come all the way down, slowly with control, maybe hovering when you can sense that you're a few inches from the chair. All right. Good work, everybody. We're going to go right into spinal twist here. And so I'm going to have my chair to the side here so I can demonstrate. We're going to slide all the way so our right side is to the chair. Okay? And then we're going to twist so we're clasping the back of our chair with both hands. Knees are forward, and then inhaling and lengthening up, and exhale as you twist, going over, looking over that right shoulder. Keep the chin tucked slightly in, looking over that shoulder. Each inhale lengthens through the spine. Each exhale twists just a little bit deeper, if it's appropriate for you. If you have low back challenges, use more of the middle back. If your neck doesn't feel good in this, then take it easy. With your next inhalation, come back to center, arms release, and keep the legs where they are, but we're going to come into a little counter twist, just looking over to the other side, and then back to center. And then we're going to swivel around to the other side of the chair, taking a hold of behind the chair with both hands. As you inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, twist, looking over that left shoulder, even stretching with the eyes. Taking time here to really enjoy this spinal twist. Maybe abdominal muscles pulled in will help you to twist a little bit deeper. With your next inhale, release to center, keep your legs where they are, and then just give yourself a little counter twist, looking over that other shoulder. And then coming back to center, and we'll turn so that we're back in our neutral position. And ready for our hip opener. So if you have a thick book or a block you know that you need for a prop, then get that ready. And otherwise, we're going to come forward a little bit towards the center of the chair. And let's start with our right leg. So we're going to prepare for pigeon pose. So we're going to lift that right leg up, and we're going to clasp it with our hands, maybe the fingers interlace, just as we did before, so we can really get a good lengthening through the spine and lift that leg up as close into the body as we can. Then we're going to take a hold of that outer edge of the foot and place it on top of the leg, not on top of the knee. And I know that for some people that haven't been practicing, this can be very uncomfortable. So if it's too much, then just cross your leg and you might still get a good stretch to that outer aspect of your hip. And if it's still too much, then use a thick book or the yoke block. It'll be a different stretch here, more to the inner hip, but it's still a stretch. So whichever way works for you. And then having that foot that's on top flex slightly so that it activates the muscles of the legs to support the other knee. We always want to make sure that we're really careful with our knees, with our knee joints, so that the kneecap doesn't get too much pressure on it. And if you want to go deeper, you can inhale and lengthen through the spine. Exhale, inch forward, and press down on that leg on top. And taking a few moments here to release deeper into pigeon. Somebody's making some racket. Maybe that's me. I don't know. As long as nobody fell down. Let's prepare to come out. With your inhalation, begin to extend forward with the spine, all the way up. The inhale brings us up. Good. And then let's very carefully uncross that leg. We can never be too careful with our knee joint there and ankle. All right, so the other leg, let's begin to lift that leg up, clasping it so you can lift and stretch that leg up, taking a hold of that outer aspect of the foot, or this side might be, very different. And then preparing to go deeper if you would like. Use your inhale to lengthen. Use your exhale to hinge forward. So we're getting a forward fold here and a hip opener at the same time, which is kind of nice. Remember to keep that foot flat and maybe even flexed a little bit, the ball of that foot pressing forward. With your next inhalation, preparing to come out as you extend forward, coming upright, And then carefully uncrossing that leg. You guys look like you're all doing really great and getting some more hip mobility. Excellent work, everyone. Let's prepare for some centering and coming still within so that we set ourselves up for the rest of the day so that we're really in a good space. We can have a nice, peaceful mind and yet still be energized and peaceful. What a great combination. So let's prepare for that by sitting in the chair comfortably. And you can let your back relax up against the chair, arms wherever they want to go. Actually, let's have the arms hanging alongside the body so that when we do 3 cleansing breaths, we can really fill up and let the arms kind of tense and with the shoulders. So let's prepare for 3 cleansing breaths. Let the abdomen completely relax, and as you inhale, let it expand with air, drawing that air up all the way to the collarbones. Now lift the shoulders, make fists, tighten up the toes, hold the breath just for a moment, open up the mouth and release. And again, inhaling deeply, filling up from the bottom, all the way to the top. Lift the shoulders, scrunch, fists with the hands and the feet are clenched, clenching the face, stick out the tongue, release. And one more time, inhaling deeply, filling up the entire body with that breath and scrunching, squeezing, holding the breath just for a moment. Open up the mouth and release. And now let the arms relax wherever they want to go, maybe resting on top of the legs. All the facial muscles are relaxed. The throat is relaxed. And the breathing is nice and deep. Bringing the awareness to the breath. We'll come into stillness at the sound of the bell. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all beings be safe. May all beings be at ease and happy. May all beings be well in body and mind. May all beings be free and at peace. And begin taking in deeper breaths now. As you begin wiggling toes and fingers and moving wrists and ankles. And then opening the eyes, taking larger movements as you reach out the legs and the arms, inhaling and bringing yourself into a full body stretch and breathing in vitality and health. Wellness into every fiber of your being. I hope that you all have a very peaceful day today. Namaste.